Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the How to Attain Enlightenment podcast. My name is Erica Blackbear. I will be your host. I'm just thanking spirit, thanking my guides. All right, you guys had my back. I get it. I'm just supposed to trust. So I get back to my friends, and this is the day that we're leaving, or I think we actually ended up staying one more day because she called me and she's like, what are you guys doing? Do you want to do some dinner? We just had a really nice time with her and her friend, and they were super sweet to Rain, and it was just great. And then the next day we are leaving, but I'm down to $120, and this is after I sold 2 of my rings down in San Antonio, which was awesome. Thank you for that. But I'm down to $120 for gas money. And I'm like, holy crap, here we go. It's only about 5.5 hours to my friend who lives in Oklahoma. She lives out in the boonies in Oklahoma. I think most of Oklahoma probably is like that, which is great. This is a friend. I've known her for a long. I actually knew both of these friends from Colorado. So we go to her house, and she's got 3 girls, and 2 of them are kind of close to Rain's age. So they just had a ball. They were having the time of their life, playing in the yard and playing in the water, and they were just having a really good time. I got to catch up with my friend. We hadn't seen each other for a while, and it was awesome. And the day I'm leaving, I'm packing up the car, and I freaking open the door. I open the passenger door that's broken. And I'm like, oh my God. And I cannot get it back closed. Her boyfriend is on his way to work. He's trying to help me. He's like, I don't want to leave. And I'm like, it's only a few hours to my cousin's house. I'll figure this out. And he's trying to help me. And I'm explaining what I gathered was going on with the door from the Hispanic gentleman that helped me. So we're trying to use a crowbar to get this door in place, and we can't get it in place, and he's got to go to work. And I'm like, look, just go to work. I don't want to hold you up. It's totally cool. And so he's got a pry bar, and he left it. So me and my friend are trying to get this door closed, and we do it. We get the door closed, and I'm like, oh, thank you. We get this door closed. We put all these ribbons, things on the handle to remind me, do not open this freaking door again. So it's on the handle. So I'm like, okay, we get it closed. Perfect. Then I'm on my way to my cousin's in Kansas City. My cousin is my closest cousin to me. We're only a week apart in age. We've always been close, and I haven't seen her in years. So I'm super excited to go see her. She has 5 girls between, I think the youngest is a year or 6 months younger than Rain, and the oldest is 11. Anyway, she's got 5 girls between those ages. We were only going to stay for a week because there's no way I'm going to overstay my welcome. My cousin's married. I did not want to be in their space for too long. You just don't want to overstay your welcome with somebody. At this point, we're maybe the 3rd week into April. My oldest daughter's roommate is not leaving for another couple of weeks. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll have some time just to kill. We can figure out fun things to do. It's not a big deal. I just tell my cousin, and she just is like, please stay. Please just stay. We had the time of our life. We were having a lot of fun. Me and her just get along really well. We were both really close with my grandma on that side. She's on my mom's side of the family. My grandma, who obviously is both of our grandmas. My grandma is one of the people in my life who I feel was real family. My grandma and this cousin. There's not many in my family that I actually feel are family to me. So we're just remembering my grandma. I brought gifts for her. I ended up with this crocheted lion that my grandma made when we were little, and she always had it on the back of her couch. I remember every time we went to her house, I would see it. We ended up with this lion. I didn't end up with many of my grandma's belongings, but that was one of the things. And I'm thinking, well, I can't take this to India. Who better to have it than my cousin? Because I knew that she had not gotten to go through my grandma's belongings. She didn't get any of my grandma's ashes when my grandma died. My sister had given me a little bit of my grandma's ashes long after she had passed. So I had my grandma's ashes, and I just have never felt the right time or the right place to spread her ashes. I just didn't know what to do with her ashes. So I had my grandma's ashes with me, and I had wanted to give all of my people along the way little presents. My cousin, I knew what to give her. So I gave her the lion. I knew that this would be a very touching gift for my cousin because I knew that she was bummed that, you know, she didn't really get a lot of my grandma's belongings, and I knew that it would be a special thing because I knew that this lion was something that we both remembered as a child. That was a grandma thing. I also decided to split the ashes that I still have, and I gave her half of them because I remember the last time I saw her, she came to visit me in California, and I remember her was bummed that she never got to spread any of her ashes. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to give her half of these ashes, and this is going to be a very sentimental gift. I could see what it meant to her when I gave it to her, and it just made me feel so good. It made me want to cry. It was kind of funny too. I'm giving her ashes. Here's grandma, here you go. And so it was a joke while I was there. We just had a really special bonding time where it wasn't rushed. The kids were all playing together. I think her kids were excited because they had a new kid to play with, and Rain was excited because, oh my God, she had 5 girls to play with. Holy cow. Her best friend in California was a boy, which is great. He's awesome. He's her best friend. But she didn't get to do all the girly stuff all the time. So she was like, oh my God, like, this is amazing. And I swear I didn't see her for like a week, except running back and forth, you know, every once in a while. They live in a lake community, so there was the lake to go to. We had a really fun time, and my cousin was like, please stay, like, I want you to stay. And I was like, are you sure your husband's okay with this? Because I don't want to be in the rest of your girls, because I don't want to be like in your space too long. Like, I get it, it's a lot when somebody's staying with you. And she's like, no, everybody's good with it, I already talked to him. So we ended up staying for like 3 weeks. She was going in for a major surgery during this time, and I was like, okay, I can like help out with the girls. I was trying to help them out as much as I could in any way. And she was laid out after the surgery because it actually worked out really well that we were there. I was able to help her and the family and also get to spend time. The whole trip was very heartwarming. I connected with everybody I got to go see on a deeper level, heart level, and it was very heartwarming. It was just beautiful. While I'm at my cousin's, while she's working or doing things with the kids, I have time to myself. So I'm trying to figure out what am I doing after this trip? This is only going to last so long. Am I going right to India? What is exactly happening? I wasn't getting a lot of messages around it, but I was getting to just trust. But I also suddenly, one of the days that I was there, I had this epiphany that the job offering that I kept getting the messaging around, suddenly I was like, wait, is that from Spirit? About attaining enlightenment? Is that my offering? So I get some time to myself and I go outside in her backyard and I'm just sitting in the grass. And as soon as I had the epiphany, I got goosebumps everywhere. My whole body just lit up. And that's usually a big sign for me that what I'm receiving is genuine information. My whole body lights up, so my higher self is definitely on board. Everything in me is like, oh my God, is this the offering? So I go outside and I'm praying to Spirit. Okay, Spirit, I feel like I'm getting this message around the offering. Is it from you? And is it this partnership that am I supposed to be fully focused on attaining enlightenment? Is that how I'm going to make my money? Is money going to come to me? Is that my job? Is this what I'm understanding? As I'm praying, I'm saying, I would really appreciate a very loud in my face sign. I use those exact words. Loud in my face sign that what I'm understanding or what I'm picking up on intuitively, that this is true and this is real and this is what you're trying to tell me. I'm speaking to Spirit and it's probably a couple minutes, and while I'm still asking for the sign, this plane, which ever since my understanding about going to India, planes have been a symbol, a sign for me. It's a new sign for me. And as I'm asking this still of Spirit of the universe, this huge plane, enormous. I don't know the different planes, so I couldn't tell you what type of plane, but it wasn't military, I don't think. It seemed like a passenger plane. It was so low overhead and so loud and so huge. It's what I asked for, a loud in my face sign. And I'm like, is this my sign? And then after it passes, there's hawks circling overhead, which is another one of my signs. Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know how this is going to happen, but okay, let's do this. Yes, of course. Like, hell yeah. This is a couple days before I'm supposed to leave my cousin's. I'm starting to get stressed because at this point, I am down to very little money. I think maybe I had like $50 left or something, and I have to get all the way to my daughter's, but also how am I going to get anywhere after that? I don't want to be stranded at my how embarrassing. You know, I'm not going to go to my kids' house like that. So I'm like getting stressed, but I do know that on the first, so I am still getting that cash assistance. On the first, I'm going to get, I can't remember exactly how much I was getting a month. It was maybe $163 or something like that. Oh, let me back up for a second. So before I left California, I was getting the cash assistance, like I said, and I had told them I'm not working anymore. My last day was March 4th or 5th or whatever it was. That was my last day door dashing. I'm just like letting you know because I emailed my worker, my county worker for the cash assistance program, but there's different workers you have to talk to for different programs. So I was on the food assistance, which my food assistance had gone down when I was on the cash assistance. So it was down to like $250 a month or something like that. And my worker was like, contact the main office and let them know that you're not working and your food stamp amount will go up. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, that will help, you know, quite a bit. I had contacted the county office before I left California. So that was like a month. It was well before I left California, like a couple of weeks. And so it was over a month and I still had not heard from them. So I'm like, I better call and just follow up. I called them and the person I spoke with, and this was not expected. I expected extra food stamps, but she upped my cash assistance to the full amount and backdated it to start at March, which my worker did not tell me. She didn't say anything about my cash assistance changing. She only said, call them and tell them to up the food stamps, which I didn't even say anything about the cash assistance program because I wasn't under the assumption that I was going to get any more money. And also I was thinking that I was not going to be on the program much longer in general. And so I was not trying to get more out of the program. Like also I knew that the program required you to be working 20 hours a week or doing the 20 hours of things that they expected out of you. So when I told my worker that I was not working anymore, she's like, you have a month and then the following month we're going to have to get you doing 20 hours of whatever the county requires you to do if you're not working still. So I expected to not be receiving that financial assistance anymore from the county. So when I called the worker both times, I never once mentioned the cash assistance program. So without even me saying anything, this worker backdated and raised the assistance to the full amount, which in California, I've never seen it be this much. But in California, it was like $800 a month because there's two of us on it, my daughter, and they count it being a 2-person family. When I called her, it was, I better just call and follow up because my food stamps had not been upped. And it was literally 2 days after I had asked for that sign and understanding from the universe. And in that conversation, I was like, please tell me that money is going to drop in because I don't know what I'm doing for money. You're telling me not to DoorDash. You're telling me not to have the business. And if this is the offering you're offering me, it's not, how do I make money? You know, this has been my conundrum the whole time. So when I asked Spirit for the sign, part of my ask was that the sign is telling me that you're going to drop some money into my lap because I don't know what else to do. I'm down to my last $50. So I contacted the worker 2 days after that, just thinking that my food stamps was going to be more and that wouldn't come in until May anyway, but I was just kind of foreseeing like, okay, let me just stay on top of this. She did all the things without me even saying. So all of a sudden I was getting backdated money from them. So I ended up with 2 different checks that totaled like $900. Oh, this was the other thing. Out of nowhere, right about the time that I left California, I started randomly getting child support payments from. So my child support case had been transferred to Colorado because I lived there. So it was originally in Wisconsin. This was the child support case for my oldest daughter, who is now over 18. So I'm thinking there's no way I'm ever going to get any child support. In total, her whole lifetime, I had gotten less than $1,000 from her bio dad, which I didn't care. I wasn't actually seeking child support from him. It was because we were on Medicaid that I had to actually go through the process. So that's a side note. I suddenly started getting child support, and it was weekly because they were trying to give me back pay from all the years of not receiving child support. So even though I was awarded $48 a month, I was suddenly getting like $110 a month, like weekly, like $20, $20, $20. So this was also helping me out along the way. So I know that I'm getting all the money from the county office. So that was like a miracle. And that is literally 2 days after I asked for the sign. Then another couple of days, it was within days of that, I suddenly get a $550 child support payment. They garnished his tax return, and it took that long for me to receive it. And then I also had multiple little chunks of money coming in from friends and random people who it was unusual. It's not like this happens to me. All within a week period of time, I had over $1,500 drop into my lap. And mind you, I'm down to my last $50. Okay, universe, I hear ya. Thank you. So I'm like on cloud 9. I'm like, holy crap. Yes, finally, something is moving. Something is shifting. Something is financially shifting after 40 flippin' years of like, the struggle is real, you know? Oh my God, finally something's shifting. So that happens. I leave my cousins about a week before I'm supposed to get to my daughter's house. And I know that I'm going to be visiting a couple friends in Milwaukee. So I do that. My second friend that I visited, we're having a lunch date and at a park, and it's hot, and I'm like trying to get Rain out of the car, and I'm flustered trying to get everything together. I had picked up lunch for both of us, and she opens my passenger side door, the one that's broken, like trying to help. You know, she was trying to gather the things to help me. So she opens the door and I'm like, oh my God. So I have to explain the whole thing to her. I'm explaining all this crazy things that were happening and the thing about my divine counterpart and going to India. I just tell her everything, and I'm sharing this story along the way to my friends because that was one of the messages I was getting. Normally I would keep things like this to myself until it's actually in the physical. Normally I kind of keep things close to my heart. I don't really share things that I'm manifesting with people because for a number of reasons, but I was getting the message to share what was moving in my world in the positive way. Make sure to be really positive about it and keep upbeat. So I was, and I share this whole crazy story with her. And then when we're done with our visit, I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do with this door. We're trying to let this door close and we cannot get it. We go to her cousin's house, we get a crowbar type thing and we're trying to pry it and we cannot get this door closed. And it was messing up making marks in the door. It was not good. I'm gonna end up getting the car fixed, obviously, the door, but just while I'm on the road, I just need to get this thing closed. But I could not get it closed, so I'm like, I'm just gonna bungee it. I'm so close to my daughter's house at this point. It's only like a 6 or 7 hour drive away. Once I get there, I used to live up there, so I know mechanics in the area. I'm gonna try to figure out what to do about this car situation. So I get up there. We have an amazing time. Me and my girls are very close, but me and my oldest, we're super close. Like she calls me one of her best friends and she's definitely one of mine. We're just very close. it felt like a part of me that was missing was back, that's what it feels like. And we always laugh. We have the best time together. We really do. And so we just had an amazing visit. And I told her the whole story about what's going on. And she's very supportive and understanding, because I'm explaining, well, I'm going to be going to India, I don't want to leave you. And I don't want you to feel like you don't have support. And she's like, well, my aunt is still around, and she's got other support and she's got a girlfriend. And so she didn't feel like I was leaving her without support is the point. And so that was good. I felt good about that. The whole time I'm at her house, I'm trying to fix this door by myself, and I'm like purchasing different parts, thinking, okay, maybe the latch is broken, so I gotta replace the latch. So I do that, and I'm trying to do all the things to fix the car door. Nothing's working. Finally, I'm a couple days away from having to leave, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to drive really far to get back to California. The other thing was that I received a piece of mail from the passport office while I was at my cousin's, and I mailed my friend my mailbox key, my PO box, and I asked her, my friend in California, and I asked her, can you please grab my mail? I have a couple of things coming. There's a couple of checks coming in the mail, and also I have something from the passport office. Can you mail those things to my oldest daughter's house so that they're there when I get there? They arrived, and the mail from the passport office says, yeah, we received your application. We need more information to process it, and these are the things that you can provide. And it's like court cases, and I'm like, I don't have a court case, and I really do not want to go through the courts and poke this bear. He hasn't been around. It's for the best. Trust me, we do not want him around. One of the options was the exigent family form or whatever, the thing that I had originally turned in with my application. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to put this form in again, even though it didn't work the first time. And I'm going to say different things and hope that it's enough for them to process this application. So that's what I do. I turn it back in. I send it in right when I get to my oldest daughter's house. So I get a call while I'm with my daughter from the passport office, and it was a blocked number, so I didn't answer it. So I got a voicemail from her saying that, okay, we're going to need a court order saying that you can receive this passport before we can process this application. I was grateful that they didn't just deny the application, because I would have lost all that chunk of money that I paid. I had it in my mind, I need to get back to California, and I'm going to have to start this court case, and that's going to delay my India trip, but whatever. It's going to just do what it does. So that was in my awareness. Now, back to the car situation. So my daughter's girlfriend's sister's husband, who they got married while I was there, and we went to their kind of reception thing after, and she's really sweet, and he works on cars. My daughter had mentioned to them what was going on with my car door, and they were like, do you think that he can kind of take a look at the car door? And he's like, oh, of course. And I'm like, look, I'm getting one more part in the mail. Let me just see if this is the thing that fixes it. If not, I'll give you a call and maybe we can figure it out. So it didn't work. Replaced the part, didn't work. He's trying to fix it. So at this point, I'm a little bit desperate about the car door, because I just need it to at least be closed, because I didn't want to drive all the way to California with the car door not closing. That just did not feel like a safe option. I have this friend who's also my ex. I don't know how long we dated, but we've stayed friends. It was a long, long, long time ago. He's a mechanic. He had crossed my mind to call him, but I didn't want him to feel like I always just call him about car issues, because, we always stay in touch. It's always nice to see him. We've stayed friends, and it's never a thing. And he's always been there for me when I needed help. We hadn't talked in a while, and the time that before that we had chatted was about a different car situation, and I didn't want him to feel like I was always just calling about car situations. But I kept getting the ping to contact him, and so before I took the car to the other guy, I called him, and I'm like, hey, how's it going, blah blah, and we caught up. And then I told him, I was like, I have a car thing. And he's like, oh no, what's going on? He's like, why didn't you just call me when it first happened? I explained to him, I'm like, I just didn't want you to feel like I was just calling about the car. And he's like, I would never feel like that, just always just call me. I'm here, just super sweet. He lives in Wisconsin. And I'm in the UP in Michigan, which is like right up top of Wisconsin. I have to go back through Wisconsin or I can take that route because I had planned on going back. So my cousin had suggested that I come back to her house to stay, like on my way back to California. I had talked to her while I was up at Sky's house and she's like, no, I would really like you to come back down. And I was like, I really don't want to overstay my welcome. She's like, nope, you're totally welcome. You should come because I really miss you and I loved having you here and you should come. So at this point I had already decided, okay, I'm going to go back through Wisconsin down to Kansas and then over through Colorado because, Colorado's my jam. I love Colorado. I had already decided that. So when I called my friend, he's like, well, why don't you bring the car here and I'll fix it for you? Okay, so I had gotten new tires on this vehicle a few months prior to leaving California. The car place had told me that it needed a new wheel well, which is inaccurate. It actually needed a new wheel bearing, but they kept calling it a wheel well. And I'm like, are you sure it's a wheel well? And they're like, yes. And I'm like, how soon does this need to be replaced? And they're like, well, it can be a while. It's not an imminent situation. So I already knew that there was something with the wheel, but the wheel well seemed like it wasn't an emergency. Now, if I had known it was a wheel bearing, I understand that that's a little bit more serious. And it was loud. It was making noise. But I trusted my guidance. So that was also going on, but it was in the peripheral. And I'm like, okay, it's just loud. It's just loud. The door is the main issue here. I didn't tell him about the wheel. I just told him about the door because that seemed to be the emergency at the time. I'm explaining everything I did to try to fix the door and what was actually going on. And he's like, it sounds like it's just not lining up. And ask the guy that you're going to, ask him to put washers behind the metal piece that the latch latches onto because that should give you enough space because it seemed like it just wasn't far enough to latch onto that metal piece that's on the inside of the door. And so he's like, see if he can put some washers in there. So he did, and it worked. I'm like, oh my God, this door is closing. So I'm like, it's fixed, In my mind, I'm like, it's fixed for now. I'm going to drive to California like this. But he's like, just come to my house on the way and I will take a look at it, make sure all your fluids and everything are good. Let me just give it a once over and make sure you're good for the trip. Anyways, I finished the trip with my oldest and, it was too quick. We were all crying. I got close with her girlfriend. She's family now. I'm like, you're family, girl. My youngest really got along with her, and my oldest and my youngest, even though there's such a huge age gap, they love the mother loving shit out of each other. They just really do. It's so sweet and so cute. My youngest really looks up to her. Everybody was just super bummed when we had to go, and I'm just like, ugh. But her roommate was coming back. We definitely had to go. I was super grateful. It worked out so beautifully. It was perfect. How more perfect could that have been? It was just amazing. So I leave her house and I go back through Wisconsin. I go to my friend's house and he takes it for a test drive. Oh, and he has twins, and the twins are a little bit older, probably 3 years older than my youngest daughter, but she had a blast with them. They had a good time. We did some fun things. We stayed for a couple of days. He looked at my car and he's like, oh my God, you need a wheel bearing. And I'm like, okay, how much is that going to be? And he's like, well, this is how much the part's going to be. I really want to pay you for your labor, but I'm really tight on cash right now. And he never charges me for anything. It's only paying for the parts, which is a freaking godsend, and it's amazing. And I appreciate him so much, but it's like, you should be compensated for your work. And I do immensely appreciate your help, believe me. But he's like, you can't get back to California on this wheel. I will not allow it. He's like, we have to fix it, and I'm like, okay, thank God I came here. So by the part, and I did give him like what I could, and I gave him a chunk of money. I mean, that was amazing. We caught up and we grilled out a couple nights. It was just really sweet and nice. So then I left there, went back to my cousin's, and I'm under the impression that I'm on a little bit of a time crunch because I got to get back and start this court case, knowing that court cases take a long time. I get back to my cousin's and I'm no longer like, la-di-da, I have all the time in the world. I'm kind of on a time crunch, or I feel like I am. I called the courthouse in my county in California to find out what do I need to do to get this ball rolling. There's a self-help office in the courthouse, and that's great. I'll get some help. I'll figure out how to do this. My cousin's still kind of laid out from her surgery, but we still have a really good time together. It was awesome. I love her to death. I love all my people. I just was very grateful for the time I had with the people I had on this trip, because it just solidified their place in my life. Because at this point I was also purging people out of my life. Anybody that has been toxic, that has been somebody that has used me without giving back, people that, those friends that are back, like do backhanded comments when you're around them to like put you down, but like act like still your friend, like those types of people. There were multiple people that I was like purging, but the people that I saw, I was like, all right, yes, it just solidified them in my life kind of thing. So anyway, had a really nice time. My daughter had super fun with the kids again. So we leave and I'm kind of feeling a little bit more edgy. I got to get back to California. Because to me, I need to get to India, and I don't want anything blocking my path to get to India. I don't want this court case to take forever. I don't know much about it yet at this point. Okay, so I'm going to leave the podcast there. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel very grateful to have you here, and I will see you next week.